Hi, everybody, and welcome to this live chat with the wonderful Marguerite Rigoglioso. I have been wanting to have this kind of a chat with her for a long, long time. It's been a long time since we last met live like this. And although we've been connecting, it has been quite some time. I think it's been a couple of years, Marguerite, since you were last on the Sacred Feminine Power podcast, and we had this live conversation.
Yes, and it's been wonderful to see how you've been growing that and just by leaps and bounds. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And congratulations for you for all of your success as well with your book and all of your beautiful courses and programs. I've done quite a number of them myself.
Yes.
And very excited about your new course that is coming up about the 7 mysteries of the Magdalene. And why don't we just jump straight into our conversation around that? I am super excited.
Absolutely. Let's go.
Beautiful. So, Marguerite, the 7 mysteries of the Magdalene. Why is this such an important topic right now? Why is Magdalene so important in these times of transition that we are in?
You know, she has been making her appearance known for the past at least 40 years in the modern time, since the books started coming out about her then. And I think it was divine timing. It was set to, for her consciousness to come back onto the planet to those who could really receive who she was and is and shall be about at that time. And it's just been intensifying since then. You know, we started with Margaret Starbird's book, The Woman with the Alabaster Jar. And, one of the there was some channel material, The Moon Beneath Her Feet, I think. And so now she's gained such an incredible momentum, and more information is being revealed about her and her mysteries all the time through the connectivity of each individual who tunes into her, right? And so it's endless what can be revealed and what can be received and integrated into our lives from her, because there are so many different facets and angles. And meanwhile, over the last few years, and, I think probably last time we spoke, I was starting to get my material about Mother Mary out into the public. So 40 years later, after the Magdalene has her unveiling, Mother Mary is starting to have her unveiling. So the Marys are coming unveiled onto the planet now. It's time. Things are right. The portals are open. The people are aware. There's been enough craziness that has cracked even more people open. And so they're here. They're working together along with other Marys who are part of that lineage of the Marys, the priestesses of sacred love and womb mysteries, as I've discovered in my research that name means, Mary. It comes from the Egyptian Mary. Talk about Egypt, you going to there. And so, that's some of what we're going to be exploring in the course. What does that mean to be a priestess of divine love and sacred womb mysteries?
Beautiful. And I love what you said there around this craziness that we have been truly exposed to over the last 3 years, especially on a global scale. And it almost feels like the more intense it gets, the more these powerful beings are really trying to make themselves more accessible to us.
That's right. That's right. Because they know. They're like, bring it on. Just let it get even crazier. Because the crazier it gets, the more people get cracked open, the more of them and the more intensely each person does. So they're here. They're like, we've been waiting for this. When we came onto the planet in our incarnations that you know us as Magdalene and Mother Mary, it was, one set of negative things that were going on. And now it's like the continuation of the spiral of that. And it's a pivotal time right now for humanity as a divine angelic race.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I would love for you to share a little bit more about who is Mary Magdalene from a more historical perspective, so we also get that understanding.
That's right. That's right. Because mainly my information about her is through the texts. What I do is I use the text, meaning what? The New Testament and the Gnostic sources, those gospels that were not considered official, but have, all the good stuff in them. Okay. The Gospel of Philip, the Pistis Sophia, the Gospel of Mary, these may be things that are familiar to some of you. And so I use that as my foundation, as my springboard for my own intuition, my midrash, my oracle. And I honor the other people who have been primarily getting the information through oracle space, but I always have to work with both, right? Because I dearly want this to be grounded in something that we can grab our hands on, right? And so that being the text. So, again, this is like the little appetizer. There'll be much more of this because we'll be going into what are these things? How do we know that this is true about Magdalene? But the short story about who she was and is a woman of noble birth who was able to support Jesus' ministry with her funds, along with some of the other women that were in the retinue. And there were many around Jesus and the Blessed Mother Mary. And Mary Magdalene may have already been a priestess of certain sacred practices. And what if she was not, when she came into the ministry of Mother Mary and Jesus, she certainly became that, because she was cleared of negative energies and she was taught many, many things directly by Jesus and then also the Blessed Mother. And she was able to rise through the ranks to become the head of the women of the church around Jesus. Okay. And in the next book I'm writing about Mother Mary was the actual head of the whole entire church. And Magdalene was her protege. Okay. But that also doesn't mean that they weren't co-equals, and sister gurus. So she worked with myrrh. She worked with the sacred oils, the sacred scents, and she worked with the death mysteries quite a bit, which we see not only in her being one of the first people at the tomb of Jesus, but also in what is described in the gospel that's attributed to her about special teaching she got about how the soul goes through the bardo. So she's there. These are just some of the ways in which she's available to us as a teacher, as a mentor, as a healer, as an inspirer for our own, what some people are calling ascension, what I call inscension, because it's moving ever deeper inward. And it is an inside job to connect with your divine source creator.
Absolutely. I have goosebumps all over me just listening to you. And what came to me really strongly as you were talking about Magdalene and her true role in relation to Yeshua and the process he went through in terms of dying on the cross and then being resurrected, so to speak. It just took me straight back to Egypt and the so-called myth of Isis and Osiris. And what kind of a connection do you see there yourself?
Well, so here's the thing that we're going to be exploring, like intuitionally and experientially, is Isis was the incarnation of Mother Mary prior to Mother Mary's incarnation now, as we knew her in her last final life before she had her full ascension into goddesshood, which is where she resides right now at one with Mother Sophia, right? And we'll talk about that. How does that happen? How was Magdalene on that path? And how are we on that path? This is not just a historical excursion. this is like the time is now for us. You know, we are no longer spectators to the resurrection. We are full participants in also the female resurrection. Okay, so that's what's happening. That's what needs to happen. That's what the opportunity is, right? And so if Mother Mary was Isis, then, which is affirmed in various places, including Rudolf Steiner, the great seer, and it was my intuition as well, then and if, let's say, Magdalene was a priestess of Isis, she's somebody who's learning the ways of Isis, the ways of Mother Mary, right? She's learning the mysteries. That's why we identify with her, because she is a sister learner. She's a sister on the path. This is why she went first before Mother Mary to have her unveiling. And this is why she's been so attractive to so many of us, because she knows our path. We know her path. You know, Mother Mary was already like quite a number of lifetimes ahead of the game. And then she's like, hey, I'm full Sophia now. I'm full goddess, you know. And so there's a wealth of things to be explored in terms of what are the Isis mysteries, you know, the Osiris mysteries. Perhaps that's an area that you're going. Again, it could be like a whole other series of courses, a whole other mystery school, but that's just to mention some of the little links and connectivities among them all, right? Because ultimately, they're all holographic representations of one another. They're all like parts of the great fractal, as are we all. And so what it is about each of us finding the Magdalene and the Mary within us and resonating that in a higher frequency to accelerate our own spiritual growth. Like now, you know, this lifetime, this is the lifetime. There's a possibility here. And that doesn't mean like preparing to like go to heaven later. It means fully pulling it in now, creating the new earth with all of this.
Yeah. Yeah, wow. I mean, the potentiality of that is just massive. It's humongous. And the beautiful thing about that is that it really is up to us.
Yeah.
It's up to us. It's not up to anyone else, but we have that power within ourselves.
Yeah.
When you talked about the womb mysteries and the love mysteries, how is that all then related in terms of this ascension process to the concept or the notion of hieros gamos, this self-marriage or marriage within?
Right. Yeah. You know, within and without, the inner reflects the outer reflects the inner. So the love mysteries, of course, have to do with primarily self-love, you know. And what does that mean, coming to earth where there's so much to get in the way of that? And we're all like, yeah, let's go to earth right around 2012 and see if we can activate self-love, despite the fact that we're going to come in through trauma lineages and, you know, this, that, and the other thing. Can we do this? And so it's an inside job and it's a partnership job, because one begets the other. And really the sacred marriage with a partner is enhanced and amplified to its most exalted space to the degree that we're able to do it within, right? And so most of us, I don't know about you, but you know, I'm kind of like, oh, you know, not quite at the highest level with that. And I want that, you know. So that's why we're looking at that, you know, regardless of your age, regardless of your hormonal level, right? So self-love, of course, is heart. It's the sacred heart. It's the love, the compassion for oneself that allows us to release karma, forgive ourselves for our, you know, missing the marks, which is the real meaning of sin in our past lives, in this one. Release the trauma fields and the tags and the hooks and the implants, and, you know, just come to that pure space. of the bridal chamber, which is one of the mysteries. It's an inner mystery, and then it's a partnership mystery. So of course, it has to do with the heart. And when it moves into the tantric level of love with another, it moves into the womb. And so all of these chakras need to be connected, right? And that's part of the work that we'll be doing in the course, is like, you don't want to just have your stray, oracle chakra way open and then just not be connecting with your womb or your heart. So what does that mean? This is about full embodiment. And what does it mean to be a walking divinity in the third dimension who's also accessing the other dimensions? Like, that's what's opening up to us now. And it can be hard to feel that when we're running around with our anxieties about money and our work a day, dealing with children and whatnot and so on, and just trying to make it, or we're getting distracted with media and movies and, all this. And it seems so far away, right? But through these practices, some of which we're going to be exploring, and I'm going to be kind of pulling through, we're going to be looking at, how can we anchor this in? How can we anchor this love and this womb mastery into our bodies? And then walk around and have better lives now, not waiting for the afterlife.
Yeah. Sounds like we'll be doing quite a bit of letting go of conditioning and programming in that.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And these practices help you laser into it. And there's many of us doing these layers of work. You are, there's many other fine teachers who are helping us with these steps along the way. And so this particular course, the 7 Mysteries of Magdalene, is another step along the way that's weaving in particular things that I've been able to see, some of which are new, that even the most high Magdalene priestesses may not have known, or may have sort of intuited, but when you hear it voiced, it's like, oh yeah, wow, it's all coming together now. So that's what we're about. And I'm just, looking at the faces of the women who are on this call, those and men. I see there's a man here as well. Bless your heart. Because, this is for everyone, right? The Magdalene is for women, the Magdalene is for men, and people who may identify as non-binaries. Jesus is for women, Jesus is for men, and people who might identify as non-binaries, right? This is all about the great healing.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you were talking, I'm really being called to ask as well, as we are ascending and as we're working with the inner realms and grounding into our wombs and our hearts, what is the role that Gaia is playing in all of this, and possibly the elemental beings that are Gaia?
Totally, completely. Because, when you think about New Earth, really for me, in what I've been doing, what comes to mind are the She, the Fae, the fairies. All of these elemental beings who we've been told are mythological, fictional, blah-de-da. Meanwhile, they are the angelics who are governing the whole darn thing. If it were not for them, we would be an asteroid. Okay, And so, and Gaia herself, her consciousness, she is a womb. The center of her is really a womb consciousness, a Sophianic womb. Because Sophia, great mother goddess, is also a womb, and that is known from the Gnostic sources. Womb of creation. And so Gaia is a place, and I've been asking the fairies about this, like, how are you? What is this all about? And I'm really learning that they are these angelics, right, who are intimately connected with the earth to co-create the natural world for us, this Eden realm, And of course, it's been under a major big time attack. And they're like, oh my gosh, you know, they're trying to get us to awaken again to their consciousness, their reality, so that we can tune in and have pleasure again, have Eden again on the earth, where we're in a pleasure place, where we're enjoying the plants, we're enjoying nature, you know, and so much is against this, all of the attacks that have led to bizarre weather and all that. So, you know, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, our Sophia, which is Gaia, you know, these are just kind of, when you put two mirrors together and it endlessly progresses, that's kind of how they are. They're parts, they are that. They are nested realities within that, as are we. And so it's about translating that insight into what this means for our lives, practically speaking. Does that kind of get at the Gaia connection? They are Gaia. They are fairy. You know, I just finished a whole section in my new book about Mother Mary, about how Mother Mary is essentially an emanation of the fairy realm on a certain holographic level. And where we see this with Mary Magdalene is in her connection with the plant realms, the myrrhs, you know, and the frankincenses of the world, the rose, right? Because that's very fairy. Mm-hmm. So it's all working together.
Yeah. And this goes beyond our planet as well, isn't it?
Yes, I believe so. I believe so, because we are in a nested holographic reality. So it's wherever and whenever in every star system you can think of, and so forth. Wow. They resonate in those places.
Yeah. And we really are being bombarded with enormous amounts of light at the moment, healing on planet.
Yeah, for sure. And it's really a matter of tuning into it. And that's what things like your practices and your teachings help people do, and this course and so forth, to help us anchor in, because there's so much against just getting with these practices that are for our benefit. Yeah. One of the things we're going to look at is Mary Magdalene's practice of going to heaven 7 times a day.
I like the sound of that.
We're going to be looking into it and having an experience of that, okay? Because that's what I call weaving in 5th dimensional consciousness into your body.
Yeah. Beautiful. I love how it is all about really in sending into our bodies. Our bodies are the divine vessels for the spirits that have inhabited these vehicles for these lifetimes. So often we're told to, you know, disconnect the mind and the body, and often work towards the physical perfection of the body. But here we're talking about something so much deeper, something very beautiful and alchemical, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. And of course, you know, one of the greatest woundings that we've been given is that idea that the body and the spirit are disconnected, and they should be disconnected, and we should increasingly be working on getting out of our bodies and so forth. That's a wound that it can take lifetimes to get out of. But this is the lifetime in which things are accelerated. So there's more possibility if we just get on the stream of these great masters and these great teachers, as one example. And there are other paths, right? But this happens to be a path for those who are called. And you kind of know, like, the people will find it, right? You find your medicine. This is a medicine path for many, many people. And it's sort of the positive thread that has been preserved in Christianity, despite the hijacking of it. So, those of us who were brought up Christian, Catholic, whatever, for some of us, that we were able to pull that red thread. And then there were others who weren't brought up in that at all and are hearing it. Right. But that's why this is a promise for a lot of people whose family lines got converted into Christianity. Here it is, the mystical teachings for us. We're pulling that red thread and weaving a new reality for ourselves.
Beautiful.
And these beings worked in a group. They worked together. Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, Jesus, Anne, Mary's mother, the consorts, partners of these women, Joachim and Joseph, Elizabeth, the mother of John the Baptist, and John the Baptist himself, and, probably others. I mean, Mother Mary's sister, who was a Mary. I mean, it's unbelievable. When you it's astounding that this stuff has remained in the texts, these little shards. But the thing about shards is that they contain the hologram with the entire hologram within them, right? So you can see a little shard that says, Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary and Mother Mary's sister walk with the Lord. That's a shard that's what we're looking at in the class, to open everybody's awareness and intuition into, wow, the multiple realities in those little shards that have been left through these texts.
Yeah, beautiful. I am called to ask also, this might not be part of the course, but I would love to hear your response anyway. What is Mary Magdalene's connection to divine conception?
Well, it will be the part of the course.
Okay.
Because I just discovered it.
Okay.
Literally a week and a half ago, in writing the section of my next book on Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene's connection. What did I find out? That Mary Magdalene is a divine birth priestess. And that is something we will look at in the class. What is the evidence for that? And then what does it mean? Because it's about resolving the virgin-whore dichotomy.
Right.
Within us all. Okay. And then on other levels, what are the conception capacities then for women? And, one of the most interesting things that came up in a conversation I recently had with the wonderful Michelle Hart, who's done a lot of this independent research as well. And what was really coming through in that conversation was Mary Magdalene's relationship to menopausal and postmenopausal women. Because she, according to the story, she had a long life. Mm-hmm. So she wasn't just about, having intimate relations with Jesus, which is a possibility. And we're going to look at that in the course. What is the textual evidence for that? And then what's our intuition around it? And what does it mean in our own sacred marriage lives, be it as a solo woman or not? But what happened is I was like, because, as I've been working with Mary Magdalene again, after, a hiatus of like 30 years, I'm like, Mary Magdalene, I don't know if I feel worthy to be talking about you, because I'm not in the high tantrika phase of my life anymore. Is it okay? And so what came through in our conversation with Michelle is, well, how can women use their wombs and keep their wombs vital all throughout their lives? And what are Mary Magdalene's advisements around that? And what does it mean to keep your womb alive all throughout your life? And, I sense that, again, it's going more inward. It's going ever more inward to the womb. And this is where some of the teachings of the late Hindu saint Sri Kaleshwar come in, the mantra practices and so forth that were elevating what he calls the holy womb chakra. So these women really were practicing these things. And so it's like, how do we send into our wombs, especially in later years, as well as earlier years when we might be more active with the sacred partnership? Or what does sacred partnership look like in a postmenopausal body? Right? So there's so much to be explored here that even is going to go well beyond the class. And I think that people are going to be individually inspired to go off and explore this for themselves and receive the information directly. That's what it's about, receiving the information directly, ultimately. So the class will help people connect in more strongly with Magdalene to foster those conversations.
Beautiful. And of course, also working with the womb space, even if you no longer have the physical organ inside.
Exactly.
You're a man working with the energetics of womb consciousness and so on.
Very much so. That's a key element as well. How do we work with the womb light, which doesn't go away even if parts of the body go away?
Yeah. Beautiful. Wow, this is going to be one amazing course, Marguerite. When is it starting?
So it's starting February 21st, 2023. And the modules will be available in replay, as will the whole entire course. So whenever people are listening to this, they can tune into it, join, watch, participate. It will run for 5 Tuesdays through March 21st. And we also have a wonderful bonus call with a priestess named Carmen Nash, who is one of the women who has gone to the lands of the Magdalene in France. And so she has some medicine from that journey to bring to us as well about constructing the Magdalene temple within.
Beautiful. I love that. Wow. I am also going to be doing the course and I'm super, super excited.
I'm so glad you're going to be there, because each woman, each person, it's for men as well, brings their vitality and their energy signature and therefore their information to the course on some level. And so it kind of becomes collaborative in a way. And, then we'll have a Facebook area where people can communicate with one another for that kind of sharing as well.
Beautiful. So I'm going to include a link for this course in the chat, first of all, and then also in the show notes for both the YouTube recording and the eventual podcast recording that will be coming out as well, for all of you who are interested in joining this course to come on board, to join us and start co-creating this magic with us. And having said that, I would really love to open the floor also for some questions, if that's okay for you, Margaret.
Yes, that feels so great. It feels time. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, so if anybody has any questions, you are welcome to unmute yourself or just simply write your question in the chat. You can also raise your hand so I can then pinpoint who is wanting to speak if you are wanting to do so. So the floor.
I have some questions.
Oh, yes.
I have so many questions that I was thinking maybe I just need to contact you for an interview myself. But the one that's been really pressing, I think there's two that really have been pressing for me in my own understanding and journey with the Magdalene. One is I still love my faith. And all the spaces that I go into, it's like there's not space to have your feet in both worlds, I guess. And so I'd be curious, like, what you would say about navigating that. And I'll say I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So it is a little different. Like, we have, obviously there's like some threads that came from Catholicism and the ancient Christianity, but the reason I even ever knew there was a Heavenly Mother was because I joined this church when I was 18, and that's what led me down this path initially. So that's my first question, is navigating like both feet in both worlds.
Right.
And then my other question is this piece around, like, it's such a difficulty to reconcile how we're so used to going to the experts for information, and there's such little factual information. And besides that, the feminine journey is all inward. Like you said, I love that you call it an ascension. That's so cool. But like, then what we have are tons and tons of teachers who are teaching contradictory things, I guess, if you will, about the Magdalene and the divine feminine and the path. And I get the idea of like, take what serves you and leave the rest, but it's just so different, because when you come from that Christian background, it's like, there's this single truth and you follow this single truth, and it's so masculine energy, it's hard to navigate. So those are my two kind of things.
Okay, excellent, Melissa. Yeah, thank you. First of all, about faith. So being in a tradition, you being in, the Mormon church, right? The thing is that at the core of each of these traditions is a deep esoteric substratum that can be accessed. And that's what I would encourage, so that as long as you are in that faith and identify as being part of that faith, I would encourage you to keep looking at what is the substratum. And I might encourage you to look at the work of Laura Truxler, Truxler. She's a sister of mine from the California Institute of Integral Studies, who did her dissertation on early Mormonism and the massive feminine power in that originally it was filled with these oracle women who were getting all this information, and there was a certain flavor to the information. So you might want to look at that. And so, in terms of being in a tradition, and it relates really to your second question, which is, what is the truth for you? Meaning, what is the medicine for you? Okay. So yes, there can be parallel, overlapping, or even contradictory information coming out about Magdalene, Jesus, whoever. You will find certain doctrines within the Catholic Church, the Mormon Church, whatever. And what you want to, as you continue to do your own ascension process, you will either be able to look at that with new light and see underneath it and like kind of accept it in a new way, or you might say, hey, I'm not accepting that dogma. I'm not, I'm going here. What I've been starting to say, and in my classes and in my books, is that there are multiple realities even. And so it's important for us to understand that there could even be multiple timelines around any of this material. Did Jesus get crucified? Did he resurrect? If so, where? Was it in the astral plane, or did he go to India, like Sri Kaleshwar says? Instead of getting freaked out and feeling like, oh, this is just starting to dissolve any sense that I can have, or any validity to any of this, it's like, look at what string that's resonating is most intriguing for you, and just focus on it for a while. All right. That's what I would say about that.
Thank you. That's so valuable. I love the shifts from like what's true, which is so difficult to pinpoint, and different for everyone, to what's the medicine. That's very helpful. I appreciate what you shared there.
Yeah, because take a look. The negative forces have used the concept of truth, which is a goddess, by the way, to get people to kill each other. That's how they know how to come in with anything and twist it and get people riled up. So most wars are religious wars, ultimately, either on the esoteric or exoteric levels. They're not economic, they're religious. It's all about truth. So when we just know that that's going to happen, and we see that there's multiple timelines, and this oracle is saying this about Magdalene, let's just be like, wow, okay, that's medicine coming through that person for those people. Here's my medicine. Here's another medicine. And oh, I like that medicine. And so let me work with that for a while. Because also, as you progress through this, you will come to newer and newer layers. You know, like 30 years ago, when I was starting to look at Magdalene, I was seeing her in a particular realm and so forth. Now it's like 10 levels deeper of understanding. And that's where this can go, because that's the beauty of esoteric spiritual teachings. They will keep taking you deeper, new perspectives. Okay. So maybe, is there another question, Emmi?
Yeah, there's one in the chat. So this is Lydia asking, are there practices in the course? And if yes, what are we working with?
Yes, there will be meditation practices. There will be some mantra practices, which are not only Hindu mantras, but other types where we're invoking the name of the Marys. There will be some take-home practices for you to do. And so that's just kind of the general idea. And I also know that as we go through the course and as I tune into meditation, I'm going to be given more and more of these practices. You're also encouraged to journal. You know, if you want, you can go as deep or as easy peasy as you want with this course. Journaling and so forth. There might be some suggestion of yoni eggs. Okay, I'll lead you to what are yoni eggs, how to work with them, to literally physically be in your body, in your vagina, right? And working with Magdalene that way. What does it mean to work with Magdalene when you're using a yoni egg or when you're in the middle of a sexual encounter? What will she tell you? How does that shift things? All right, so that's a little bit about where we'll be going.
Beautiful.
Big breath.
Yes. Yeah. Does anybody else have a question that they would like to ask?
Yeah, you can either unmute or...
Having done a couple of Marguerite's courses in the past, I can say that they have the potential to take you really, really deep and to a place where you are essentially learning about yourself at a really powerful, deep level, but then also taking that beyond you to these incredible connections to energy and consciousness and collective consciousness and beings that might just start to show up for you as you start to work with these practices.
Yeah, because you are the expert, right? Marissa was talking about experts and so forth, and, but you are that. And that's my aim, is to help everybody feel their own expertise with the divine and with the information that they need and want. Yeah. Not just questions, but maybe comments. We can also open it to comments. We wanted to spend another 10, 15 minutes, if there's the energy here or the curiosity here. How is this striking people? How is it connecting? Is it dovetailing with what you've already learned? Is this completely new? Where does this live within you, or what chord does it strike for you? I'd be interested in hearing. I know Emmi would as well. And we'll just give you a minute to just tune in, because all comments are welcome and valid and valuable. And while we're tuning in, I'll mention that Friday this week, February 17th, 2023, on my YouTube channel, Marguerite Rigoglioso, I will be doing a live cannabis ceremony where I will be in ceremony with Lady Cannabis, or Santa Maria, to be accessing information about the Magdalene. I've never done anything like this, either with myself or publicly. So this is going to be very interesting to see what wants to come through. And we really welcome your questions for that, because it ends up being a pretty high octane kind of transmission. There may be energies coming through as well as information. So, yeah. Courtney, my priestess of sacred administration for Seven Sisters Mystery School. Hello, dear. So nice to see you here today. By the way, that YouTube live is going to be 11:30 a.m. Eastern time on Friday. So that's 8:30 a.m. Pacific and 4:30 p.m. UK. So
yes, correct. Yes.
Courtney, hello.
Hi, I was wondering about the connections with the Magdalene and the plant kingdom and our plant allies. If there's anything coming through around that.
Yeah.
That we can tune into.
Right, because earlier we were talking a little bit about the myrrh, because Magdalene was known as a myrrh-bearing priestess, and we're going to talk about what does that mean. So myrrh is from the plant realm, right? It's a resin. It's the tears or the blood of a tree, I believe, right? And we were talking earlier also about how the Fae and the She are governors on Gaia, of the natural world. They're co-creative angelic forces. So it's their artistry that's gone into the creation of plants and so forth. And so Mary Magdalene, by tuning into, that little shard, myrrh-bearing woman that is in one of the apocryphal gospels about Mother Mary, is tuning us into a whole world of the plants, and especially the aromatic ones. And what do they do for us, right? So we'll be looking at how myrrh was used, both for anointing in life and anointing in death, and how it was used as an incense. What is incense? INSENSE. is a clue there. You know. So incense puts you in touch with your in-sense and your in-sensation. So those are some of the places where we're going that I think Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary and the other Marys held. And we're going to be working with, one of the mysteries is the anointing for opening consciousness. And so I'm literally going to be encouraging people to order specific oils from specific places to work with it on your body and in your scent. Okay, because we're all starting to learn the depths of how the 5 senses are portals into the other dimension, can be doorways. And this is the fairy realm par excellence. They're like, we're all about the 5 senses. I mean, you people think that we're on the inner planes, but it's like, we're 5 senses. We're like the pleasure of the body. Did you forget? Right? So thanks for that, Courtney. Emmi, another one? Let's see.
There isn't a question in the chat box, but Maggie is saying that this is so compelling. In the past few years, she's left established Christian religion behind and pursued a more general intuitive spirituality. But at the same time, she's been drawn to the Marys, despite not hearing this angle before, accumulating artwork of Mary, etc., and have seen them in meditation.
Yeah,
Wow.
No kidding. Because you are the expert. You've already known, right? And you're getting the artwork. That's another thing, the art. And one of the people who's really great about that is William Henry. His show, his Ascension show on Gaia TV, or I forget what they're, anyway, he's got a couple of shows. And he goes way off into this, showing the art. Wow, it's like, he'll show you that there's spacecraft, that there, I mean, it's so obvious, right? But these artists, because of course the artists, they're connected, right? They're connected to the realms, they're connected to the fairies. And so they are transmitting information. Sometimes they're conscious about it, sometimes they're not. And so we're all just getting a lot more conscious about what's been in some of that sacred artwork. What has preserved the red thread despite the dogma? Where in the artwork is the red thread preserved? So when you look, you know. Okay. Oh, yes. And Melissa is asking, you have a cacao ceremony? Yes. So at the very end, we have an optional cacao ceremony on, I believe, March 26th, the week after the course formally ends. But cacao is a heart opener and a consciousness opener. It's one of the most friendly, loving, easy openers that you can imbibe. It's a superfood. It comes from the seeds of the cacao pods, generally from Central and South America, but other places as well. And we instruct you in how to get a very good, high quality ceremonial grade cacao. And then to join us for 2.5 hours in ceremony while you are drinking, I show you how to do it. You order it, you prepare it. It's very easy. And then we go into a journey together. And some of it will be your private time, and some of it will be guided time, where whether you've taken the course or not, there'll be prompts to lead you to have a closer experience with Mary Magdalene. And you'll be, wow, with your heart open and with your consciousness. And believe me, it's not anything like, it's not even like cannabis. It's not mushrooms or ayahuasca. It's like, okay, because these plants are sacred goddess medicines who resonate with all of the Marys and so forth. So we're, again, using them to be in our body, but amplifying into a higher dimension of it to access the information and the felt sense of it. The deep gnosis, the inner knowing. We have another few minutes. Any comments or questions? Or I'd be so eager to hear any impressions. I see someone. Someone is getting in front of her computer.
Magdalena, did you want to share something?
Magdalena, we see you. You need to unmute though.
I started typing. I wanted to comment. Yeah, I was curious about, because I was like investigating a bit, or the news for me that I found out maybe 1 or 2 years ago was the connection of a Myr, the water priestess.
Yeah.
If this is something you will cover in the course, or would you comment out now about? Because
I will comment on it now. Yes, Mary is related to, linguistically, ultimately, to the term mer, which means, sea and the waters. And so we know that Mother Mary, for example, was patron of sailors, right? Which is pointing to a deeper connection that she had with waters, with the sea, with the water element. She was a master. She had mastered the water element. She had acquired all the Siddhic abilities to be able to work with water, to do healing and so forth. So, probably, perhaps, Jesus was not the only one walking on water, like dealing with the different dimensions at the same time. And the sea also represents the cosmic sea, the cosmic womb, which was called Okeanos, or ocean, and is equated with the space itself, with the stars. The starry firmament is also the sea. So, we start seeing all these relationalities, but what is the specific medicine of water, and what are the specific Siddhic, supernatural, quote unquote, abilities that you can develop around water? And how can you use water for anointing? How can you put intentions into water and then pour those crystals of water into larger bodies of water and create that, you send that intention elsewhere? Okay. So that's just a little commentary on that. Nothing we will so much go into, but, then again, if there are people in the class who have various questions of specific nature, we will look at it. And that would be an interesting one for you to bring on Friday's cannabis ceremony. All right. We'll see how much deeper we can go.
And also the connection to the waters of the womb.
That's right. Obviously.
It comes from and it's birthed from. So
amniotic, the ocean is within, the ocean is without. I love how these blue rays are coming in.
Yeah.
Right. The blue ray of the Marys. The Marys hold the blue ray. They hold the red ray. Magdalene in particular holds a lot about the red ray, which is why I wanted to have the roses here with us. And also the Marys are very strongly connected in with the roses. Very fairy. I didn't even get to that, but we will in the course. And that particular flower, its meaning, its scent, and so forth. And here we are, right before, Valentine's Day in the US, which is supposed to be a big day of roses and love. And even though it's kind of a made up thing, what is it doing? It's tuning into all of this unconscious material that people know at a deep level.
And I love how the rays are actually going directly into the roses and then into your heart chakra.
Right into my heart chakra. You can't make it up. Where I also have a pomegranate with, ruby symbol here, which is a womb symbol. Blessed be.
Blessed be. Thank you, Marguerite.
You're welcome. Thank you, Emmi. I know that this is so intense for you, especially the day before a huge trip you're doing, a teaching trip to Egypt. Wow. May you be supported by the Marys and beyond in your work and play there.
Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing your wisdom and your deep embodied knowing so beautifully with us, and for being so open to taking questions and comments and sharings. It's really beautiful. Appreciate you, Marguerite.
Thank you, sister. Yeah, you're so welcome. Glad for these opportunities.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And if anybody is intrigued by the course, the link is there in the chat. And I will, of course, share it with the recording of this video as well. And I hope to see, both of us hope to see lots of you there and wanting to create some magic, weave some magic together in this program.
Yeah. Blessed be.
Blessed be. Thanks, everyone. Bye for now.